Hello hobbyists, and welcome back to yet another Getting on the Tabletop, where we are once again back in the US starter set from World War III Team Yankee, but this time painting up an Apache helicopter. So here is our Apache helicopter, fully assembled here. As you can see, the top rotary is disassembled here. It is actually right here. I actually assembled the two parts separately. Of course, I will combine them together once I have completed painting up the Apache. So anyways, there are two ways to build the Apache from the starter set. You have the Apache, which this is, and then you have the Apache longbow. Currently, there's no difference between the Apache longbow and the Apache, so you could build both, and then basically they play the same way. It's just aesthetically, as of this current moment in time, which version of the Apache you like the best. So anyways, again, we have a nice looking model, very quick to assemble. All Team Yankee models are quick to assemble. So now let's begin painting up the model. So anyways, the rotary blade is pretty much practically done. I again took it outside after assembling it, primed up in matte black from Army Painter. So anyways, this is practically done right here. The only thing we're actually going to do is the top little rotary section right here. That's all this metal. We're going to be doing that in, of course, our Necromancer cloak at a later date, and then dry brushing gunmetal on it. But we're going to do that at a later date. First, we have to finish the Apache helicopter itself. And anyways, we're going to do one full color scheme across the entirety of the Apache helicopter. That's the underbelly and everything. And we're going to be using olive brown from Vallejo. I'm gonna, of course, thin that down in a pill bottle, push that through my airbrush, and airbrush the entire model that primer color. So I'm gonna get my equipment all set up for you all and return to you as I bring this Apache to life from this black primer to the olive brown color. So there we are, we completed up the olive brown base coat on the entirety of the Apache here. As I put it around again so you can look at it from this angle as well. But anyways, that is it for that. So now we're going to do a entire wash over the model to darken up this olive brown just a little bit more to get into all those cracks and crevices and just define everything. Now typically we would finish all the other base coats and then we go into a wash because we are just going to be using a few other colors like Necromancer cloak for the wheel things down here, just that metal part. That's the entirety of these metal. The legs, we're going to use some matte black for the wheels, of course, and then recoat, of course, the propeller wing, the propeller over here, and then recoat this in Necromancer cloak, and of course this in Necromancer cloak as well. Now, of course, I think I didn't say why I sub-assembled this, because you can sub-assemble this to basically for transportation, but do know it's going to scrape the paint off of this nub right here. I think you can still see the green there. I'm probably going to glue this down. I have a better way of probably transporting this with the rotary blade attached, but in essence, this is what it would look like with the rotary blade. Essence, always moving the rotary blade is always going to chew through the paint on it, so I think I'm going to glue it down after we're done, just so it doesn't chew through this paint every time. Even if I varnish it, I don't want it chewing through the paint, but I mean, down there is perfectly fine. So Trupato, all you could really do is ignore this right here. Just continue to pull paste, because the inside of the rotary blade isn't going to really matter. and then you'll just have this part down here where the rotary blade would spin around. Since Necromancer Cloak in a safe color altogether. So you could do that as well. I think I'm going to glue it down just for my own sanity. I think I have a way of transporting it with the rotary blade attached. So anyways, I'm going to do that wash. I'm going to do that wash using, of course, dark tone ink mixed 1:1 with quick shade mixing medium, both from the Army Painter. So I'm going to wash this Apache up for you all. I decided to move over to our rotary blade here because while the helicopter, of course, is drying, I decided we could work on the rotary blade here, mainly the middle section right here, which goes down to the bottom. In essence, we're just going to simply work on all of this and then highlight it up, and of course highlight up the blades as well. And of course, to do the middle part of the rotary blade, we're going to use Necromancer Cloak from Army Painter because I want to give it that pseudo-realistic look of metal. So I'm going to do that for this and this. So I have some Necromancer Cloak on my brush here, and I'm just going to simply start working my way through this. Now, of course, once I get closer to the main blade itself, I'll switch over to a smaller brush to work on this little section there. And of course, once I'm done with all of that, we will then, of course, wash up this Necromancer Cloak. But first, we have to finish the base coat. So I'm going to take my time working through base coating the middle portion of the rotary blades. And of course, if I do get it on the black, I'll just go back and fix it up with some matte black. I'll return to you all once I have completed up the rotary blade. So our rotary blade Necromancer Cloak over this area has been completed here. Just a look at the top and a look at the bottom there. So anyways, now it's time to wash it, and we're going to do the same wash we did for the main helicopter, and that being the dark tone wash mixed 1:1 with quick shade mixing medium. So I'm going to get this washed up for you all so we can move on to the highlights of the rotary blades and the metal part itself. And there we are. We washed up the rotary blade Necromancer Cloak, getting a little darker. Now it is time to highlight the entirety of course, the rotary blade. For the Necromancer Cloak, we're going to be using gunmetal from Army Painter, and for the black, we're going to be using Dark Reaper from Citadel. Again, when highlighting black, be cautious of what types of paint you use, because grayer paints will turn your blacks into grays, and they don't look good if you turn blacks into grays. But anyways, I'm going to dry brush all of this area. Of course, I'm going to use a small dry brush here from Army Painter to get the paint across the Necromancer Cloak, and I got this medium-sized dry brush from Army Painter as well to do the rotary blades. Now, I'm not going to do the bottom of the rotary blades highlight because the bottom of the rotary blades are not going to be seen, but I will, of course, do the bottom of the metal because that can be seen. I want my opponent's eyes to kind of be dragged up to the top of the rotary blades for the Dark Reaper. If you want to go down there and highlight them as well, you can do that as well. I'm just going to bring my opponent's eyes to the top, and I kind of want this all to highlight metal because, again, it's all going to be a nice reflective look altogether. So anyways, I'm going to get those two colors done for you all. And there's our finished rotary blade. Again, the Dark Reaper just slightly giving a gentle highlight to the black. I didn't want it to be overpowered. Again, overpowering the Dark Reaper does sometimes turn blacks into grays. It's just there to be subtle, and again, the nice gunmetal over the Necromancer Cloak giving that realistic look of metal across the entirety of the rotary metal area. So anyways, that is the blade completely done. Of course, if you don't like the dry brushing on the blades itself, you can go do an edge highlight, just dragging your paintbrush across the edges here to just pick them out. Again, so if you want to bring it up darker, just go back to doing another edge highlight over the area just to bring out that color just a little bit more. So that is the rotary blade done. Let's move back into the Apache helicopter. So the helicopter has been fully washed here, again just darkening up the entirety of that brown color we used, once again that being olive brown from Vallejo. So now we're going to highlight up the model before we add the remaining base colors to it. Now, from what I have done some research into doing this, you use Russian uniform, which is a very like light green, darkish lightish green color to highlight up the olive brown. I don't have that color, but from the box art, it looks like it's using a lighter brownish tinge color. So I decided I'm going to use green brown from Vallejo over it. I think it's going to give just a subtle highlight difference between the darker olive brown and just give a neat little highlight. But again, you can also use uniform green or Russian uniform for this model as well. So I'm going to dry brush the entire model using, of course, green brown. Now, I'm going to dry brush, show a little dry brushing for this model instead of the rotary blade. As a reminder, when dry brushing, just what we're doing is we're picking out the raised areas with our dry brush. That's where we want to drag our opponent's eye to this model. We don't want to overly dry brush the entirety of the model. We just want to drag our opponent's eyes to those raised edges. As you can see here, again, this green brown nicely contrasting against the olive brown. Now, once again, just do this light. Give this a light coating. If you want to come back and give it a little more darker color, you can do that as well. But the first thing you need to do is dry brush this on lightly. Once you have the light color down, you can always come back in and put some more over it. So I'm going to take my time dry brushing up this model here, and I will return to you all once I have completed up the entirety of this green brown. So there we are, we've highlighted up the Apache here. Again, that green brown just giving a subtle difference between the olive brown, and it looks really, really good. I'm not gonna lie, again, I just did that dry brush over the most raised areas of the model, just trying to pick out those raised areas, just trying to drag our opponent's eye to the parts of the model we want to be seen. Now it is time to complete the other base coat. So anyways, for the back little propeller here, we're going to do each of the little fins in matte black, then the center part in Necromancer Cloak. For this little tip right here, the rotary spinner, I'm just going to do the inside part here. That's going to just be Necromancer Cloak. For, of course, the wheel garters that hold the wheels in place, those are going to be Necromancer Cloak, and then the inside of the wheels, wells, I believe that's what they're called, it will be Necromancer Cloak. The back part here will also be Necromancer Cloak. We're also going to do matte black for all of the wheels, Necromancer Cloak for the little machine gun under it, and then for the windows we will be using 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄 from Citadel. So again, that matte black is from Army Painter, Necromancer Cloak is from Army Painter, and the 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄 will be from Citadel. So anyways, I'm going to get those colors applied to the Apache, and I will return to you all once I have completed every base coat I mentioned for the Apache helicopter. So we've completed all of the other base coats, Necromancer Cloak from Army Painter, matte black from Army Painter, and 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄 from Citadel. Again, the 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐄 nicely bringing out those windows. Again, the Necromancer Cloak in there. Now, I didn't paint Necromancer Cloak where the paint is chipped away, just because that's where I know for a fact the paint chips away when the rotary top will come onto it. So anyways, we got the rear propeller or blades painted up again black for the blades themselves, and then Necromancer Cloak for everything else. And then we got the wheels on the bottom here done, the wheel itself, and of course the wheels there for it, and again the little machine gun under the Apache itself. So now once again it is time to wash up the model. We are going to be using Dragunov Nightshade for the blue, and then Dark Tone for the Necromancer Cloak. So I return to you all once I have washed up the model. Once again, all the shades have been completed, darkening up, of course, all of the Necro Necromancer cloak with that dark tone ink, and then darkening up the windows with Dragunov Night Shade there. Once again, when doing flat surfaces like these windows, make sure to not let the shade pool in one specific area, otherwise it gives like a very dark one specific area and doesn't look really good. With other models that have a lot more ridges and stuff like that the wash flows into, it's not too bad because that's what you want the wash to do. On flat surfaces, make sure it doesn't pool, otherwise you get weird, very dark specific locations. So anyways, now it is time to highlight up this model. So I think we're going to start off with the windows here. And to start it off, we're going to use Lothran Blue here, followed by Bathroth Blue, both from Citadel. Then finally, Matte White from Army Painter. So anyways, I have some Lothran Blue here on my brush. So what we're going to do with this Lothran Blue is we're going to do an L shape across the windows here to give a look of reflection in them. So that's how we're gonna do it. So we'll copy that same side doing the L, and then over here on the side windows we will do the L in this corner of the window. So that's how we're going to do the windows for the Apache. So I'm gonna get all the Lothran Blue down before I move, of course, into the Bathroth Blue. There is the Lothran Blue all complete. Again, just some L's in each of those windows, giving the sense of reflection of the light coming down onto the windows. That's what we're looking to do here. So anyways, now we're gonna do Bathroth Blue. We're gonna follow the same path we did with the Lothran Blue L's, but we're going to, of course, be on a lighter blue color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the same guy, but I'm going to put the Lothran Blue on the outside of or the Bathroth, I should say, sorry, the Bathroth Blue on the outside area of the Lothran Blue. In a sense, giving a sense of definition to the lighting off of coming out that window. So I'm gonna do that for the rest of the windows, and then we only have the matte white to finish up the windows of this Apache. And there is the Bathroth Blue. Again, it's just a very subtle difference between the Lothran and the Bathroth, but it's a very nice subtle difference. It just gives you that more look of reflection in the windows here. So the last thing we're gonna do is matte white, and all we're gonna do is a smaller L right in the corners of each of the big L's. Again, just dragging our opponent's eyes to the area, just letting them know this is reflective paneling, or in essence, reflective windows, like the windows are reflecting light off of them. So I got matte white here again from Army Painter. I'm just going to put an L just like that into the window. My camera will pick it up, but it is in there. It's very subtle on the change. There we go. I think then you can see it a little better. So there's just a nice little white in there, again, giving the look of reflection. So anyways, I'm going to complete the white through all of the windows, and then I'm going to move into the remaining highlights of Dark Reaper over, of course, our wheels and our fins back here for our tail rotor. And then I'm going to probably do a mix of dry brushing and edge highlighting for the remaining Necromancer cloak using gunmetal. Again, Dark Reapers from Citadel, gunmetal from Army Painter. I'm probably only going to do edge highlighting for the fins back here with the Dark Reaper because there's just so much around there that I don't want to accidentally dry brush something with Dark Reaper. So anyways, once I return, we will have this Apache helicopter completely highlighted, and then we'll talk about the last thing we're going to do for it being gluing the rotary and then dealing with how we're going to mount it to its flight stand. So I will return to you all once I have finished highlighting up the Apache. And that is it. I've completed all of the highlights, as you can see here. Just a subtle highlighting on that black. I'm not sure if my camera will pick it up again. Dark Reapers very, very subtle on how it changes. Let me try to get the, so there you are. So as you can see, it gives a very subtle change to the black there. I also did that through all of the wheels as well. I gave all the Necromancer cloak a nice either dry brushing or edge highlighting of gunmetal, as you can see here, just giving all that Necromancer cloak a nice color. And again, like we said, we've already completed the windows. So anyways, that is the end of the Apache. So now we need to deal with the flight stand. So for the flight stand, you get a little kit. It comes with this base here. They actually give you this long one, so I'm going to use the long one. And then they give you this, then you can clip off this little cap that I have right here. So anyways, this cap goes on to this here, as you can see, and then the Apache will go on top of that, like that. Then it will sit on the stand. Now, I am going to glue this part right here onto the Apache, and then I will just, as I throw it over here, there you go. I'm gonna glue it onto the Apache, and then I can just simply pull the Apache off the flight stand itself. But another method you can do, and why I think I'm probably gonna try to get some magnets for these models, because I could put a magnet into here, a magnet into there, and then I could just magnetize them, and then I could just glue that piece down into the flight stand. I may consider doing that down into the future, like future Apache helicopters or future models that take flight stands, actually going to like maybe Magnet Baron, which I know, in fact, a lot of people recommend for magnets, and then just getting magnets for these models. So anyways, I'm going to, of course, varnish up this model and varnish up, of course, the rotary blades up here. And then I'm going to glue those two together. I'm not going to varnish them all together because I want to be able to varnish the rotary blades separate from the Apache helicopter themselves. I'll glue in the little flight stand piece, glue on the rotary blades, and this Apache helicopter is ready for the tabletop. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this getting on the tabletop. The Apache helicopter, much like the tanks from Team Yankee, are extremely easy to assemble and extremely easy to get from plastic to completely painted up. As you can see here, it didn't really take all that many colors or all that many steps. Now, I do kind of wish I had some Russian uniform to put over the olive brown, but I think the green brown is really nice as well for going over the olive brown. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on whether or not the Russian uniform should be the highlight color, or if the green brown was a pretty neat highlight color. And while you're commenting that, do make sure to let me know some comments about the Apache helicopter. What you thought about it, the color scheme, anything about it. And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you. And on to the glamour shots.